The chapters we'll cover today are before you even touch a sewing machine, the basic tools you'll need, the sewing machine itself, and how to start sewing. I'm so excited for your journey you're about to embark on learning how to sew. This is a big step. You should congratulate yourself now. Because you get to hold on to this skill for the rest of your life. Just the confidence that you'll have from being able to create anything that you want or take care of the clothes that you already have in your closet, no matter what reason that you have for wanting to start to sew. I'm so glad that you're here. Let's get into it. So before you even touch a sewing machine, you have to have the correct mindset. If you believe you can't, you can't. If you believe you can, you can. You have to believe that you can do it. If you believe that you can't do it, you may as well just give up now because you'll never accomplish it. But if you believe in yourself, you'll be able to go so far and even further than you thought you would. That's why mindset is just like the most important thing that you could do before everything else. Make sure you have it good. You have to allow yourself to be bad. There is a learning curve when you're learning a new skill, but congratulate yourself already for deciding to learn that skill. And you'll get better with the time and practice that you put into it. The more time you put into it, the better you get. Whether it's 15 minutes, 30 minutes, or even an hour a day, it all adds up. That's why give yourself at least 30 days to practice and you'll be able to see big changes at the end of it. You got this. I believe in you. Now we're on to the tools. So it may look like a lot, but it's not. To keep it from overwhelming, we'll start simple, and these are your fabric scissors. The one rule with the fabric scissors is to never cut anything other than fabric with them, not even paper, because as soon as they go dull, cutting fabric will be a complete nightmare. I know from experience. Save yourself the time and frustration. Keep it only for fabric. A smaller pair of scissors, which I call the snip snips because they sound like. This is for cutting the thread off of your projects at the end. It's a lot easier to handle than the bigger scissors. Now there are 3 types of measuring tapes that you'll use with an assortment of different projects. A regular small ruler in your metrics I'm from Canada, so I use centimeters and inches. A bigger ruler this one only has inches, but it's to draw longer straight lines and it's a lot easier to use than the smaller ruler. And the third is a soft and moldable measuring tape. This one is for measuring your body and making it a lot easier to measure, such as your wrist, which you can't do with the other rulers. Marking your fabric. I like to use chalk for darker fabrics because it shows up and it just easily brushes away. A marker for lighter fabrics, and this one disappears after 10 or so minutes. There's a variety of them that you can use, so these are the ones that I like and I recommend. Fabric weights. This holds your fabric down when you are cutting out your pattern. You can use really anything as long as it fits in your palm. I got this rock when I was traveling, so it holds memories. And this crystal, I bought it from the thrift store because, as you can see, it's just very pretty. To hold your fabric together, I use 2 things. I mostly use clips, especially when there is an outside edge. I have a bigger clip for thicker fabric and a smaller clip for smaller fabric. I honestly just bought these clips from Staples, so you can really use anything around you. I use pins for details when I can't use the clips, but I don't like to use pins because it hurts when you stab yourself, and trust me, you will. Onto the thread. I recommend Gutermann. That's what I love to sew with. There is a lower quality thread and a higher quality thread. When you look at it, you can see the amount of lint that comes on top of it. Gutermann is just smoother. That's what I've been using. When you start putting garments together, that is where higher quality thread is really gonna come through because your seams are what holds your pieces together. You don't want your seams falling apart. But when you start sewing, any type of thread is fine. Be wary though, the more lint that you can see on the sewing spool, that will end up clogging your machine and will have to be serviced more. Just something to think about. Of course, your sewing machine comes with a bobbin. Universal sewing needles. These work on a variety of different fabrics. So to start with, these are the best ones. Last but not least, a bed sheet. This is what you will be practicing on. This fabric is the easiest to work with. Make sure it's a cotton and non-stretch. I thrifted this one, but if you have an old bed sheet, you can definitely use that. Now that you have all your tools and a good mindset, let's get to sewing. You have two options. If you have a sewing machine already, but it's from your mother's mother, you'll want to get it serviced, or else it will cause you a lot of headaches and problems just down the line. When I first started sewing, I was using my mother's machine and something was broken or wrong with it, so it made the thread bunch up under the fabric and it just created so much frustration with me. I finally just caved and bought a new one, and let me tell you that best decision of my life, because sewing went from being hard and tedious to so nice and easy. So if you have an old machine, either get it serviced and fixed or just buy a new one. This one I bought from Walmart. Best investment I've ever made. This was what I started my sewing journey on. I have now since upgraded. You can check out my video about it. I have an unboxing video if you want to learn more about it, but Singer Simple is a good beginner sewing machine. How to thread your machine. I'll be threading my machine the Singer Heavy Duty, but all of the sewing machines relatively follow the same method. Now that you have a sewing machine, the mindset, and the tools, we get to start sewing! Now we're going to do a little exercise that you can do every day to get used to the motions and so your muscles will remember it. We're going to take our bed sheet and cut out a ruler length square. Over at our machine, you're going to take your square and fold it in half. It doesn't have to be perfect. When you start out, So a lesson here, I actually was wondering why my stitches were so loose, and that's because of the tension. When I was previously filming how to thread my machine, I had all this extra thread and I just wound it up after over the spool. And so it doesn't have the proper tension that it needs to make straight stitches. And so that's why I did 2 lines and they're wonky, and then I sewed a 3rd and a 4th one and they're straight. So tension is very important when you're first starting out. Once you start learning tension and how it works, it makes your life easier. We just want to keep our back straight. I just feel like a gremlin sometimes when I sew. That's a little exercise that you can practice with your old bed sheet. You can just continue to cut out your squares or rectangles and make fun little shapes and try them out. You've now completed the Beginner's Guide to Sewing. If you are just beginning to sew, leave a comment about what you are most excited to sew first. If you are already a sewer, leave a tip on what someone else could benefit from. We're creating a community here who loves fashion and creativity. Thanks for joining me in my studio. I'll see you in the next video.